Alright, here it is, bright and early on Monday morning. Now, if you remember last Friday, I was finishing up this motor, or trying to, and found out the ignition system wasn't working. So we're going to test out our spare power head, see if it works, and if it does, swap it over to here. So I already have the spark tester hooked up. Pull the spark plugs out, make it easier to spin this for me. And it's sparking. A little on the weak side. Not very bright and powerful, but it's definitely working. This engine's a lot newer than that one. Pretty easy to tell with where the thermostat is there. But it's in the same era, if you will. That's it. Both top and bottom are sparking, so we'll get the flywheel off and take everything apart. There is the more common everyday ignition system. Components look great, plate looks clean. Looks like this is going to be a great replacement alternative. Just to experiment curiosity, I'm going to take the other flywheel, put it on here, make sure the flywheel wasn't my issue. So I have the old flywheel onto our newer ignition system. I don't know if you can tell, but it sparked. So they are kind of compatible. Let's go do some part number research. So the blue engine, let's call it, is a 1982 15 horse. The black engine, or my spare power head, is a 1987. Now, if you look at all these part numbers, they are completely different. The crankshaft's different, the block's different, ignition system's different, carb's different, everything's different on the two things. Let me show you the main reason why I don't like that original setup it had. It uses this primary stator ring, which houses the sensor, the charge coil, and the stator all in one handy little ring. Problem with that handy little ring to replace it is $381.99. Now, when we go over to the newer ignition system, it uses three parts. It uses the coil lamination assembly, which is part number 0581670. It uses the sensor assembly, or the trigger, which is 0583387. And then if you have an electric start motor, it uses its own stator, which is part number 0582926. Now, the non-electric start versions of our 1982 engine also use independent systems. They use a coil lamination and a sensor, and you also kind of, if you see up here, have the option for a light kit on it, so it would power the boat's light, not necessarily battery charging. The way the site's designed doesn't quite show that part number, but it was available. So, ring, expensive, individual parts, not that bad. For 1987, if we add up all of the three main components, let's say you had a problem like mine does and doesn't spark, and you just want to replace everything, total for those three individual parts is $119.87. All of a sudden, that's pretty affordable. This stupid thing, $381.98, so $382 realistically. So that's why I don't like it. It breaks, you don't know what aspects of it's broken, you're replacing this stupid thing for $400. Versus $120 for all three parts. Now, its coil, let's just look at the charge coil here. This is the newer motor. Part number ends in 670. Our older motor, its coil ends in 059. So obviously, right off the bat, you see there's an issue. But we can go over to marineengine.com because it'll show the superseded part numbers. And the 059, which it originally had, deleted, replaced with 635, deleted, and now uses 670, which is what our newer powerhead has. So right off the bat, you can tell they're interchangeable. That's a good sign. I didn't check the sensor or trigger, if you want to call it. Let's do that now. Originally used 069, which is this. The newer 87 motor uses a 387. which goes to right there. So that's a pretty good sign that they're interchangeable. The base is different here. Our base uses 225. This base is 417, so that's pretty uncool. But let's go to Marine Engine and see if those will interchange without any issues. No. So let's I'm gonna put it on and hope for the best. Worst case scenario, I have to swap the 3 main components over to the older base, but we'll see how this plays out. So first things first, I'm going to pull the top off. I'm going to try to leave the base. It uses a different carb roller assembly base here, so I'm going to leave the old one on there if possible. If not, I'll swap them out, but let's hope so. So I'm going to get this off now. So here are our plates side by side. The mounting screw locations are identical on both. The older plate seems a little thicker, this seems a little stronger, this seems a little weaker. This has a whole bunch more channels and things cut out of it, where this one does not. So there is a pretty good chance this is going to work without any issues. Take a look at the back. Pretty similar there, no big difference. Let's measure up the openings, which I'm pretty sure they're going to be identical too. Diameter of 2 3/64. This has a diameter of 2 3/64. So it'll probably work fine. So let's install it and see what happens. The power pack is still stupid on this thing, so I'm going to swap that out. So out of the 3 available power packs I have, none of them are entirely right. This original power pack, well, it's got all round connectors. Coming off of our new ignition system is a square 5 pin, going to one of the round 4 pins. That's wrong. Down here, a little funky, uses the ground wire coming out of here, which goes to nowhere, to where in our original ignition system, it's supposed to be in the back of there and coming out to here. So it's a little on the funky side. And this pile of mess has the CDI power pack, which may work fine, but our spark wasn't all that powerful, so these are always a little on the suspect side. Also, this whole crimped wire thing, that ain't really going to fly with me. And then the round connector body. Now, it is a round 5 pin, so it's got that going for it, but it's supposed to be a square 5 pin. So, again, suspect. Now, this aftermarket beauty, don't know what it is. Got a squared off 3 pin connector, but a round off 5 pin. So it's all a little odd. This new of an engine should use all of the square pin connectors, so I'll have some connector bodies to change and swap around if this works correctly. So our new ignition system wants a power pack number 0582285, which go to marineengine.com, was deleted and replaced with 800 or 0586800. Retails for 100, list for $108.99. They sell it for $77.39, so not impossible. We can see here the terminal connector wires, or the coil connector wires, are built into the power pack. It's not supposed to have a little lead coming off. So we don't have any power packs like that, so we'll have to do some rigging, but it definitely uses the flat connector here. So that's good. At least we know nothing's been messed with our ignition plate there. So we can go over to eBay. They got one here for $64 if nobody bids on it. $83 buy it now. It uses the flat with the coil connectors, which is fine. Now the reason I like eBay is you don't necessarily get a file photo like you would from some company that just shows everything. I want to know exactly what type of connector body it has and exactly what type of coil connector it has. So eBay, people usually take pictures of the actual item, which tells me what I want to know. Let's check boats.net. That's where I buy everything. They have a new one, 7676. Old thing. Who knows how old it is? You take a look at the box. It ain't new. So for an extra $10, well, if $10, well, $12.76. I get a brand new one with warranty and all that fun stuff, and the option to return it. Unlike our eBay seller here. Return's not accepted. Now, luckily with eBay, if it doesn't work, they're gonna accept it regardless of what he puts on there. So that's nice. But anyway, so when if this thing runs okay, I'll replace it with an actual power pack, not something I'm gonna rig up. But for now, it'll do for what we have. So basically, I don't need to worry about the connector body to the coils, but I do want to fix up the. Actually, I really don't need to fix anything. I'm just going to replace the power pack anyway. But anyway, now we know. So let's do some repairs if needed, or get this thing all tidied up. I have a kind of rigged up power pack and kind of a rigged up ignition system here. So I'll put the spark tester on. And we'll get the flywheel back on and we'll see what happens. Got the black flywheel on. I think it looks better than the silver one. Yay, we have spark. Hopefully you can see that. That was the bottom cylinder. So now we'll test out the top. Hey! So, original, well, the 1987 flywheel, 1987 ignition system, random power pack I had floating around on the desk, and a rigged up electrical system. And we have a better spark than we did originally. So, I don't really like that ring. So now what I'm going to do is install the proper connector bodies and fix all the wire ends so this is all going to work properly and correctly. So I need to start routing some cables now. Our replacement ignition system came with some already. Got this little ring there. So we're going to leave that in play. And also install this back piece to house the connector body. Looks good so far. And our little ring here, which connects the connectors bodies together, if they were correct. Put that under there. And use our wire. Hold it in the rest of the way. And when we get our proper power pack, that'll sit up like so. It doesn't really matter where you have where, as long as all of the connectors work right. So as you can see here, we have a yellow with a blue stripe. That needs to go the yellow wire with the blue stripe, which is the first one. Right here. And I just dropped a screw. Crap. That thing is tiny, then there ain't much room down there, so I'll fish that out in a second. Next one is a yellow with white stripe. This one. And when I get my screw back, process of elimination, two solid yellows will go together. Now while I'm here, I might as well connect this red wire that runs down and charges our battery. Now I know that butt splice is a little funky being on there, but you can't really swap out the rectifier because A, it's hard, and B, I don't have a spare. So, as I said, I'll be getting a new power pack, but this is what I have for now. So to make sure everything gets routed correctly, go ahead and hook it all up. And that's kind of how that'll sit. This doesn't matter too much, probably a spark plug wire coming down. Alright, well, let's get the spark plugs in. So I got some exciting news. While I was looking for the spark gapper, went out back to the outboard wrecking yard and I found the power pack I need. Put a new end on it. And yeah, so let's get those swapped out and see what happens. Now the blue stripe wire, orange with blue stripe, which is the middle one down here, it goes to the top cylinder, so just so you know. These two wires don't identify it because they're dumb. But our new used replacement power pack does. I don't know if you can see it, but it's there. So that'll make me feel better about this whole thing. Now, the ground wire probably be okay back there, but I rather ground to the screw head that it won't reach, so never mind. Let's get our multimeter and test that out. So what I want to do here is make sure that that wire is grounding out correctly, which you can tell it ain't. Hear the beep? So I have it connected to the terminal back here, touching the ground, and nothing. So we'll have to look at that one. I don't think there's much room there, but it looks like if we route it like that, that'll work. Well, now let's give it a try. And now we have ground. Let's plug it in and make sure it works. See a bit better that actually plugs in. That's the way it's supposed to be. Got a spark. And we got a spark. So, power pack works, coil works, trigger works, charge coil works. Plugs all plug, so I think we're good now. So now I figured I'd get these wires routed properly, or better, rather. While I'm here, we have the stop switch for the electric remote control coming off of here, and we have where the old one used to be, cut and hanging off of here. They both use the socket design, so I'm going to extract this pin and install them. So in theory our stop switch will work correctly. Hopefully. Perfect. So for our spark plug wires, the longer one goes on the top, or excuse me, longer one goes on the bottom. So see how one's short and one's long? Short one is the coil side, I think. Pretty sure. Let's get some spark plugs. Spark plugs are Champion L77 JC4. This is a marine spark plug, as you can see. So we'll get that installed. So you want to check the spark gap before you put it in, make sure it's correct. Now we'll check the, well not check, but we'll get the plug wire routing little clamps installed. This bottom one is too long. Get that out of there. Install a spare shorter one I have. Yeah, that makes more sense. Alright, what I don't like is the way that this clamp is, kind of getting in the way of our spark plug wire right there. So that's a little too close to comfort for me. So I'm going to pull that bottom clamp off. Actually, I can pull all these off, change it with a bigger one to hold everything. Here's my bigger clamp, and here is going to be my spark plug clamp. So that'll come up, that'll hold our spark plug like so, at least kind of. I'm going to go look around and see if I have a little bit shorter one. Given how big that is, I could probably just put that entire thing in there. I might look into that later, but for now that'll hold it just fine. Need to get another clamp on for the bottom spark plug. Which probably just install right there. Yep, that looks a lot better. Well, that is most of our ignition system. I'll get a twist tie and get this a little down a little closer just so it doesn't constantly rub on the motor cover. It probably won't, but just for safe measure. Now let's make sure it still all works. Alright, bottom and top cylinders fire. Routing looks okay, so ignition system's done at this point. Well, not done. We still got to torque down the flywheel, but that can wait. What I'm going to do now is remove the flywheel, make sure the plate here is still adjusted correctly with the carburetor, and tighten down all the screws. So the next video, I don't know what I'll be doing, but we'll figure it out. So stay tuned.